Today, we're going to be chatting about conditions and offers. Why? Because over the last decade, conditions were few and far between. The heated market meant that sellers were in power and would often be presented with 2, 5, 10 plus offers on their property. So buyers would opt to forego their conditions as a way of making their offer stand out, otherwise known as presenting firm offers. But let's not get too technical. Let's just get right into it. Conditions. What are they? Who needs them? And why? So first off, what's a condition? Well, a condition is an action that's documented in a clause in the agreement where the buyer needs to waive or perform some agreed upon act before the sale becomes binding. And you might ask yourself, well, Amir, how's that different than a clause in the agreement? Well, it's a good question. The answer is that the clause is generally something that both parties agree to, like cleaning or removing your personal items before possession. Conditions, however, are there for the benefit of one party or the other in a given transaction and may be waived and fulfilled solely by that party who asked to include it. And if they don't, well, then the deal is dead, falls apart, and you get your deposit back. So what sorts of conditions might one include in an offer to purchase? Well, for a condo, typically you'll find conditions like status certificate review or financing. And with homes, you'll find something on home inspection and financing. Now, those are the most common conditions, and of course, there are other conditions depending on the property types and specs. For example, properties with pools and fireplaces. Meaning if a buyer asks for a condition, one or the other conditions don't get through, then the buyer can back out of the agreement in full without deduction, no penalty, their deposit comes back to them. Conditions are good. They allow the buyer to be at peace with their purchase, and in turn, they confirm to the seller that the buyer's done their due diligence. But the one thing we want to make clear is that conditions should not be abused. Buyers who aren't 100% sure as to whether they'd like to actually purchase a property should simply not opt to put in an offer until they are. Why do I mention this? Well, because buyers have asked in the past whether they can back out on the basis of condition. Not because it was not truly fulfilled, but rather they had a change of heart. Conditions are not there for that purpose, and ultimately it ties up the property for the seller, which is not the most appropriate thing to do. At the end of the day, until you're absolutely sure, you shouldn't be placing an offer. Period.